Hello everybody, in this video I would like to explain you what the information therapy means or how I understand it. This lecture or this theme is quite complicated, so if you are confused a little bit by that, do not worry, because it's not necessary for understanding of Bach flower therapy. So it's mostly for the information. We will explain or we'll try to demonstrate the way how our brain works on this image, on this picture. And there are two persons, young girl and old woman, and you probably, most people do not see both of them. You will probably see one, and then after some time you will be able to see another one. So if you do not see both faces, so please stop for a while and look and try to find the other person in this picture. And this is the way how the brain works. For example, you may notice that there is an eye and nose and ear and chin, and you can conclude from that that it's a young girl. Or you can see that there is an eye and nose and mouth and chin, and you can conclude that it's an old woman. And it's typical that our brain tries to collect some details, to choose some details, and to make an abstraction or generalization from these details or some events. So even you could see that there were probably 4 details and there was a conclusion that it is a young woman, or 4 another details and the conclusion is different, it's an old woman. It's important that this process is usually completely or partly unconscious. So you aren't aware that you notice nose and eye and ear and so on, but suddenly in a split of a second you could see the other picture. And in psychology this moment is called eureka effect or aha moment. And this switch is usually unexpected and surprising, and even when the picture is the same, you see something quite different. And it's often a principle of psychotherapy, for example, that the patient perceives something like that he suddenly changes his point of view. And we can demonstrate it, for example, on how we perceive fear in our life. Most people have some situations in his life where they feel fear, and this fear may paralyze them. And there are also situations when, in spite of the fear, they decide to fight, and they are successful. So the most objective description would be that there are moments when we feel fear that paralyzes us, and we fight in spite of fear. However, our brain has a tendency to concentrate on some details only. So he doesn't take the whole picture, but takes some details and makes a conclusion. For example, the brain may concentrate on fear, and the fear becomes more and more prominent. And finally, we concentrate on the fear only, although the moments when we fought are still present there. The situation didn't change, but the point of view has changed. And this conclusion is rather pessimistic. A person with such a conclusion will believe that he is a fearful person, and that the fear will always paralyze him, that he is a coward. On the other hand, if the patient changes his point of view, either because of some life experiences or because of therapy or psychotherapy, or because of taking, for example, mimulus, the essences, his point of view may change and he may concentrate on these positive moments when he thought, and the result is completely different, although the facts are the same. So he believes, this person believes that he is a fighter. So the essences are able to invite us to change our point of view and to see the situation differently. Although the situation is the same, we can see, we can take other details and make another conclusion. How is it possible? Well, the exact mechanism is unknown. Maybe because sunshine is very important for the production of the essences. Even when you use or do everything according to recommended procedures, but you use, instead of daylight or sunshine, you use, for example, electric light, the result will be unsuccessful or unsatisfying. The essence won't work. So maybe there is some physical interaction rather than a chemical effect like in classical remedies. There were also some scientists who tried to prove that this mechanism is valid, or that tried to find or to create a theory why it works. And probably the most known is the theory of water memory. And among these scientists, there are, for example, Jacques Benveniste or Brian Josephson. This is a Nobel Prize winner for physics. Or there was a group of physicists, fundamental physics group, that there were top-level physicists who, for example, made an impulse for the development of quantum communication, or Masaru Emoto. And probably the best known is the work of Jacques Benveniste, who made some experiments with white cells, with some subtype of white cells of blood in his lab. So there were no patients, no placebo effect. And he discovered that some substances, even in very diluted doses or concentrations, where even one molecule wasn't of this original substance, so they had some effect on these cells. And he published his article in a world-known and respected journal, Nature. And the editor of this journal first tried to stop him. So there is a quote of John Maddox, this editor: "Our minds were not so much closed as unready to change our whole view of how science is constructed." So there was some barrier. When Jacques Benveniste wanted to publish a normal article, there probably won't be a problem, because the quality of the article was very high, so he wasn't able to refuse it. But John Maddox asked immediately to make further experiments, further tests, and he personally supervised these tests. And these tests were at first they were successful. They proved the effect, but finally John Maddox was more and more strict, and there was some sort of witch hunt, as Jacques Benveniste explained later. And finally, the experiment failed. And so the conclusion was that there was some trickery, some fraud by either Jacques Benveniste or his co-workers. So the problem is that even when somebody wished to do some serious research in this area, it would be very difficult, because nobody from classical scientists would accept this result. He would accuse him of some trickery. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. And in the next video we will speak about the reaction to the remedy.